Jimmy, I love your driveway. Did you have anything to do with this?
No. It was
You can't claim this?
It was like this when we bought it about 20 years ago.
This is cool. This is so cool. So you mind being on my YouTube channel?
Go
you like
for
that?
it.
Look at this. So here's Jimmy's driveway here. And it's so fun. This is Quirky Fun Berkeley. I don't know where they got. Maybe they got some good deal on all these tiles, but who has tiles like that on their driveway? But what's cool about this, and they don't need it here, is this particular tile is grooved. And you pay a lot of money for a grooved concrete driveway. It's called ribbed. They screed the concrete with scrapers to get a groove like this for really steep driveways for traction. This would be a really amazing traction here. Just like the tire on your car and all the grooves in it. You know what I'm saying? And but that's not why. Why am I here? You're growing a Frankenstein.
Yeah, help take our freak palm tree home.
So Jimmy, do you know that Van Halen made a song after you?
I did not know that part of the Van Halen
Top
catalog.
Jimmy kicks, top Jimmy swings.
Yeah, that's a deep cut.
He's got the look. Top Jimmy, he's the king. Good song. Anyway, so what do we have here? Look at this thing. Maybe the other people in the future, you can help people in the future with the same problem. They won't have to pay me to come out. They'll just watch the video.
Excellent.
They'll be forever indebted to you.
Excellent.
All right, Jimmy actually is paying me to come here and tell him what's going on with this tree. Look at this tree. What's going on with this freaky queen palm? I'm looking at it. Jimmy said there were rats up there. One thing we can do is we could put a little metal around the trunk to stop the rats from coming up. Are you sure it was like just a rat that was in the tree? Jimmy?
Not at all. Oh, yeah, that T-Rex.
That's a baby T-Rex. Was there a mama T-Rex
Baby
around?
T-Rex is all over the place.
Maybe that's what the T-Rex went up there and took a bite of it. But anyway, so here's what I'm thinking's going on. I'm thinking the bud got damaged up in there. And sometimes, ever so rarely when the bud gets damaged, you get multiple heads sprouting. There's certainly a head going that way. And I'm pretty sure there's one going that way. I think there's one going that way. I think we're looking at possibly a triple-headed king palm, which would put Jimmy in the top list of coolest, weirdest trees in Berkeley. And you want to be famous for something, right? You always thought, like, someday I'm going to be famous for something. It's going to be because of this tree. Maybe. We'll have to come back in about 10 years and see how it develops. But I'm about to climb up on this roof. And it looks like it's got pretty good traction up there. It's kind of steep, but it looks like it's got good traction. I'll test it out anyway. I'm going to walk up there, turn the video camera on, and then, try to figure out some sort of hypothesis as to what's really going on. Now, Jimmy, it's time to tell me the truth. Did you ever have this tree trimmed by anybody?
Yep.
Did you let them go up the tree with spikes?
Yep.
Jimmy?
Hang my head.
Would if you had to shave your face, would you let like a bunch of munchkins like get metal spikes start crawling up your leg with like little hatchets to go up and shave your face?
If it was going to be.
Or do you make them get a man lift?
I think a lift.
Look what Jimmy did to his tree. Don't ever do this, people. Do as I say, not as Jimmy does. Okay, no more spikes, Jimmy. Every one of those holes is an induction point for fungus and rot and premature death and all things dark and evil. So, what I'm seeing from I'm not brave enough to get on the roof. It's really steep. It's like 20 feet down. If there was a pool down there, I would have no problem. But there's not. It's all concrete. So anyway, what am I seeing? I'm sort of confirming my first presumption that there's something definitely going that way. If you look in there, you see all this stunted foliage, a whole bunch of it, which is way more foliage than one head push would create generally. And it does look like something's pushing on that side over there too. Is that too much of a zoom? Maybe. Trying to stay alive on top of a ladder, like holding onto a palm tree frond with one hand and your phone on the other is not something I'd recommend to do. But there it is. You push on that side, push in the middle. I'm sort of recommending to Jimmy that we do nothing except water the tree really well fertilize it. Try to push the growth. It's hard to push growth when you're in Berkeley because it's so cold. These things are driven by heat. But we want to push it any way we can. That way we can see what comes out. Then we can see what to trim off. Thing you don't want to do, something like this, is even though the foliage is half baked, you do not want to trim it off. Even if it's creased and broken over, don't cut it off, because every little bit of green, no matter how little and how ugly, is acting to create sugars and energy from photosynthesis from the sun. And that's what's going to drive further growth. This palm, I think this palm is probably vulnerable to death too in this crazy condition. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So we're just going to have to wait around, hope that Jimmy does what I say, waters it really good, comes down and buys a bag of fertilizer, doses this thing up, gets it going, pray for heat. Hot summer, Indian summer. Is it PC to say that anymore? I'm not sure. North American native person summer. Yeah, and then that's what we get in the Bay Area. That's what we love so much. So, and don't spike your trees, people. All right, we'll just have to check back into this job in maybe a decade. Jimmy, you gonna set a reminder to call me in a decade?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, I'll be back.
Gary, remind me to call Gary in a decade.
He already said that. He's all set. He's got him on schedule. All right, that's pretty much my diagnosis, people. We'll see what happens. Okay, all you party people, you probably want to see what a multi-headed queen palm would look like, and here you go. A few examples, lots of them from Florida, because there's so much thunder and lightning there that oftentimes these trees will get pegged by the lightning bolt, and bud will be damaged, and the next thing you know, well, not the next thing you know, but 10 years later, you've got yourself a double-headed queen palm. And this is what we're hoping Jimmy's tree will look like someday, and maybe even a mini multi-headed tree. So let's check back in a decade.